So we're going to start working with angles now, alright? And so this is one of the problems, this is a common problem you'll find on the SAT, right? They'll give you some lines and they'll say, find the angles, alright? And so how do we approach these type of problems? Well, we have to start with what we know, alright? And I'm going to keep saying that throughout this little course over here. Start with what you know and you'll find what you need, alright? So let's start with what we know. So it says, in the figure above, lines L and M are parallel, alright? We're going to stop right there. We're going to underline lines M and L are parallel. And we're gonna kind of show a little parallel sign, alright? So the parallel sign is this little caret right there. So say we're gonna put it like that. We're gonna say, hey, these two are parallel with each other. And lines S and T are parallel. We're gonna stop right there. We're gonna note that these are parallel too. And so we're gonna do that. We want to kind of differentiate these two. So we're gonna put a double mark right there. Alright. So lines S and T are parallel. If the measure of angle 1 is 35 degrees, alright, we're going to stop right there as well. We're going to say angle 1 is 35 degrees. What is the angle measure of angle 2? And you're going to say, hey, that's that's a little weird, right? We have angle 1 and we have angle 2 all the way over here. And so to solve these problems, we're gonna say, hey, what do we know about straight lines? All right. Well, we know straight lines are 180 degrees, and they're giving us one part of this straight line. How do we find this other part? Well, we can just say 180 minus 35, right? And then we can find this other part. So let's do that. So it's 10, 5, and then we have a 7. Take out the 7, 4, 145 degrees right here. All right. So you have 145 right there. Okay. And so we know something about vertical angles, right? They're going to be the same with each other. So this is also 35 degrees. And since both of these are parallel, right, we can kind of say, hey, this is a parallelogram. All right, so we can say 35 right here, all right, times 35. So 35, 35, right? Since, right, you see what I did here? It's parallelogram, so we know opposite angles on a parallelogram are equal to each other. 35 degrees, 35 degrees, all right? And so that means these two have to be equal to each other as well. So what do we know about quadrilaterals? Well, quadrilaterals are 360 degrees, all right? So we have 35 plus 35. Let's call these angles x right here, right? So x and x. So that means 2x plus 35 plus 35, which is 70, is equal to 360. So we subtract 70 on both sides and we get 290. So we divide both sides by 2, alright, divide by 2, divide by 2, and we have x is equal to 145 degrees. So we have 145 right here, and then 145 right here. Alright, we're just doing what we know, alright, so that's what we know about shapes, this is what we know about lines, and we're just using our knowledge there. Alright, so we know all these angles of this little parallelogram right here, alright? And since we have this 35 right here, what do we know about straight lines again, right? We know that straight lines are 180 degrees, right? So this big angle right here is 180 degrees, and so that means 35 degrees right here. We can just subtract it from 180, and we did that already over here. So we have 180 minus 35 is equal to 145 degrees, and so it asks us what is the angle measure of 2, all right? And we have our answer right here, all right? And so really all we did with this problem is used what we knew about basic geometry, lines, and quadrilaterals, right? We didn't have to memorize anything about parallel lines. We didn't have to measure, we didn't have to memorize, hey, angle 1 over here is equal to this angle right here, right? All we did was used what we knew and got our answer, right? And you can also, if you might not have noticed, you can also have done this with process of elimination, right? You can say, hey, angle 2 looks like an obtuse angle right here. 35 is not an obtuse angle. 55 is not an obtuse angle. And 70 is not an obtuse angle right here, right? 145 is the only obtuse angle. So you could have done this by process of elimination, or you could have just used what you know and use your deductive reasoning, all right? So that's a key strategy when doing these angle problems. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.